Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is Venezuela and prophecy. And yes, it is in prophecy, not exactly in the Bible, but it's part of what Dmitry was told. Well, not exactly, but I'll explain. But it is important, what I'm bringing you today. That is, if you want to know when our nation's about to fall. Okay, so about almost 3.5 years ago, YouTube deleted our channel, but they just reinstated it. Now, we understand that there's a rule that we can't have two channels. So, do we want to have the new channel with 20,000 subscribers or the old channel with about 100,000 subscribers? Obviously, we want to go to the old channel called the Prophecy Club. So, as of November the 24th, we're going to stop posting to the new Prophecy with Stan site, and you'll have to go to Prophecy Club. So let me explain so that you can all switch. We don't want to lose anybody. November 24th, we're going to stop posting on Prophecy with Stan. These are the links that you can watch us at, and I want you to notice the third one down where it says Prophecy with Stan videos. That one's gone. From now on, it's going to be Prophecy Club Official. Prophecy Club Official, just to get that officially done. Okay. Also, I want to invite you to the Spirit of Prophecy Church. If you are in the DFW area, whether you live or here or visiting, be sure and come and see us, because this is a prophecy church that is, it's a church, but it is for prophecy students. I will say it that way. Prophecy students will love it, that most of the churches don't want in their church. Okay. Also, through Thanksgiving, EMP Shield has offered a special. Now, if you use the promo code prophecy, you already get a $50 discount off each item. But if you go there and order one of these for each one of your cars or for your house, they have them both, until Thanksgiving, you get an extra 25% off. So if you're thinking about getting one, obviously now is the best time to do it. Also, it's extended through Thanksgiving. And if you need gold or silver, prophecyclubgold.com or 800-200-GOLD is a place to go, especially if you have an IRA, 401k, or if you have a big stash of money someplace in like a bank or a stock market or something like that. And I'm not giving financial advice. Can't do that. Our wonderful government. Also, if look, see, this gold and silver is for keeping your wealth, not losing it, whereas Prophecy Club crypto is a way that you can increase your wealth. At least that's what they say. prophecyclubcrypto.com. Go check it out if you're thinking about getting into crypto. Okay, so a prophecy teacher, as you know, knows what to look at in the news and also what to ignore. And today, I'm going to say we better be looking at Venezuela, and I've got lots of reasons why I say that. First of all, as you know, Dmitry was told by the angel Gabriel August 3rd of 1984, the fall of America would start with an internal revolution. Started by the communists. Some of the people would start fighting against the government. I think we're seeing that right now. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and two of the countries I can't remember will attack and destroy America in 1 hour. Now, there's more to it, but that's the point I want to get to. What are the other two nations he couldn't remember? Michael Boldea, his grandson and interpreter, and I both agree those other two nations are without a doubt Venezuela and probably North Korea, and it may also include Iraq, but I say that based upon Isaiah 13. Okay, so there's probably more than just two more nations. But today we're going to concentrate on one of those other two nations. Specifically, we think it's Venezuela, and I'm going to show you some good reasons why we can say that. All right, first of all, Gateway Pundit says, headline, Trump presented with options for imminent operations in Venezuela. What? The largest deployment in the region since 1989, the Panama invasion, has now approximately 15,000 total U.S. military just off the shores of Venezuela. Operations are centered in Puerto Rico, practicing, which I just looked up on the map to confirm, is right near the Virgin Islands, Trinidad and Tobago, and near Venezuela. Could it be that Trump is planning on using our military to go down and put a stop to the president of Venezuela. I'm going to cover that. And also why. Oh, there's a lot more. The article goes on to say the USS Gerald R. Ford, which just happens to be the largest aircraft carrier in the world, and its strike group. Now, I don't know how many ships are in the strike group, but it has most of them listed if you want to stop and read it. Point I want to make, though, is one of them is a nuclear-capable submarine. What does that mean? It means it might or might not have nuclear weapons on board. And, of course, any of the other ships might have them on board, too. And it is a ship that is hosting Special Operations Forces. What is that? That means boots on the ground. So right now, America may very well be planning boots on the ground in Venezuela. And in yesterday's program, I showed you where the Mexican capital has started putting large sheets of steel, we're talking about like 14 foot tall, welding them together all around the Mexican capital because they think America is about to invade Mexico. Well, that's a lot of trouble to go to for just a rumor, unless it's not well founded. So did the Mexicans and the Venezuelans know something that we don't know? Okay, so the prophecy said in Central America. Now, I got an email that said, yeah, Stan, but Venezuela is not in Central America, it's in South America. Well, that is probably one of the other two countries that he didn't have. But let's go on. Other air assets in the area, 90 aircraft on that Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier, including F-A-18 Super Hornets. These are bad hombres. Heavy bombers, AC-130 Ghost Rider gunship. Now, I've seen these Ghost Rider gunships, and I wish I had footage I could show you. This is like, how do I say this? This is, okay, here we go. This is like an airplane flying around that can just go in circles around an object, and it has the firepower like you wouldn't believe. I mean, it's not just 4,000 rounds a minute, 50 caliber. This thing has got big. I mean, it could destroy a lot quick. It's a bad hombre. Helicopters, Super Stallions. I wish I knew more about military, could tell you, but rest assured, this is a lot of firepower. They're not just parking them down there for threats. E6 Mercury Airborne Command Posts. Oh, there's more. Ground operations, Marine and Army troops are about 5,000. He's got 5,000 sets of boots ready to invade Venezuela or Mexico or whatever he decides. This 82nd Airborne, now, you know, again, I never was in the military, praise God. I thank you very much for a military that are, but I'm glad I wasn't called to do that. But I know, I lived in Kansas for a while, and Riley Big Red 1 is right down the street in Junction City. And there's some bad hombres. I mean, these are people that break things and kill people. 82nd Airborne, that's just about as bad as you get next to Army Rangers. So there's a lot of death right off the coast of Venezuela. In addition, the CIA, leading covert operations, now authorized for lethal actions in Venezuela. What? They're authorized to kill people. The Defense Intelligence Agency, what is that? The DIA? Oh, I've been hearing about them for, 30 years. These are the guys that make spy planes, that make all sorts of high technology stuff that they don't talk about. You don't hear about it until it's 20 or 30 years old. So the DIA is there. Those are bad hombres too. Supplying overhead imagery and human intelligence. What's in human intelligence? That's when they blow a boat out of the water and they say, we knew what was on board. I'm guessing they probably had the passport copies of everybody on board, plus they knew exactly how many kilos or whatever, what kind of drugs were on it. Oh, there's more. I looked up the word Venezuela on Gateway Pundit. Now, by the way, this was sent to me by you. Thank you very much for your emails. You are the best source for Prophecy Club, of course, outside of God and His prophets. So thank you very much. Now, so I got this email, and so I checked it out. Then I went to the site and I looked up the word Venezuela. This is how many articles I pulled up just on Gateway Pundit about Venezuela. And all of them are talking about, oh, hey, is America about to hit Venezuela? I got lots more. Then here's another guy. Venezuela is a very dangerous enemy. This is a guest, Alex Newman. He says this is way more than counter-narcotics operation, as the president of Venezuela is the head of a government criminal cartel. He says Venezuela is not just a government, it's not just a nation, it is kind of the hub to kill Americans with drugs. Essentially, that's what he says. And he says that I grew up in Mexico and Latin America and knew what is happening. He said, we're watching the total, look at this, communist takeover of the entire region. In other words, Mamdani, and then that other lady, the blonde-haired lady, just got elected in, I believe it was Seattle. She says she's also a communist. Well, they call them a social democrat, but they're communist. Started by the communists? See, most people would read past this. They'd say, yeah, well, big deal. Well, a prophecy student that knows what is coming to America says, yes, it is a big deal. Let me show you the big deal. Let's start with Venezuela, he says. You cannot tell the difference between the cartels and the government in Venezuela. The cartel of the sun is run by the leaders of the military intelligence agencies. Nicolas Maduro, who got in by voter fraud, surely not. By voter fraud, is the head of the cartel. This cartel is worth more money than anybody can fathom. It has diplomatic immunity and smuggles drugs using military and government airplanes. Oil is another huge moneymaker. This is not your run-of-the-mill corruption. In Latin America, they are all part of the same thing. The cartels and the government are the same thing. Let me say it again. The cartels and the government are the same thing. And probably that's true with most of Central America, including Mexico, though I'm not the one to say that. My guess is, though. You also see this is in Mexico very clearly. You can't tell where the government ends and the cartels begin. The Communist Chinese and the Russian government are critical players in this entire process. They have been from the beginning, and I have been covering this story for 15 years, and there is more. He says the Trump administration knows that this is much bigger than a counter-drug operation, but this is not about drugs. It's about the communist movement. Drugs are just the mechanism to bring in money. What we're facing in Venezuela is a very dangerous army, Venezuela. Once the revolution kicks off, they expect that the Russians, Communist Chinese, North Koreans, Cubans, do you recognize that list? I do, and I think you do too. Those are the people that God will have involved in taking down a nation that used to be his most favored nation right behind Israel. A nation he started, raised up by his hand, and now by his hand, because we've fallen away, is taking us out. Once the revolution kicks off, they expect that the Russians, Communist Chinese, North Koreans, Cubans, and Communists in Latin America will each occupy a piece of the United States as it is brought into the new system. Well, see, this is one of the advantages of being a prophecy student. We know that this is not going to be going into just the new system. This is part of the fall of America. Skipping down, the real problem with the drug cartels is the profits are being used to build a totalitarian network that fully intends to enslave everybody in this hemisphere, and they intend to destroy the United States of America, and it's not just this hemisphere. So that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark and the name of the beast or the number of his name. It's global. It starts with Europe, but it doesn't stop with Europe. More, Venezuela conducts military drills and mobilizes a militia to defend against the U.S. aircraft carrier. Okay, so Mexico and Venezuela, and truth be known, probably the rest of the Central American countries, they are preparing for an invasion. They are preparing to go to war with America. And there's more. USS Gerald R. Ford Strike Group arrive in the Caribbean as Venezuela's Maduro makes a desperate plea for Latin American nations to unite for peace. It's not uniting for peace. He's asking them all to unite against America. Just so happens the fall of America will start with an internal revolution started by the communists. This is that early fulfillment of that prophecy. Goes on to say, Maduro banged his war drums nonstop, credibly, threatening to invade neighboring Guyana and seize its oil-rich Escobedo, I try to pronounce that, province. But the tyrant of Caracas is clinically to become a self-professed advocate for peace. In other words, since we have all of this firepower off of his border, off his coast, now he's decided to be for peace. No, he's not for peace. He's still for destroying America, just like he opened up his prisons and his everything evil about his nation really descended into America during the Biden administration. Oh, won't you be interested to know the truth about just what Biden did and his cohorts to destroy our nation? Because the answer is a whole lot. All right, so let's go on to the next one. Then flashback. U.S. Coast Guard intercepts drug smugglers off Venezuela. Now, we know about this. The U.S. Coast Guard in action intercepting a group of drug smugglers off the coast of Venezuela. They ignored orders to stop, so a team fired precision. We know about this. But there's 20 of those such boats that have been now taking out. In other words, they're not stopping. They're continuing to take these guys out. Snitch.com says desperate Venezuelan dictator Maduro orders creation of an app for population to report everything they see and hear. In other words, he's come up with an app for Venezuelans, truth be known, all of Central America and Mexico, to be able to report on the U.S., the Marines and whatnot, coming in to attack them. He's preparing for war because we're preparing for war. We're saying we're not going to invade him, but if we were going to invade him, would we say, oh, yeah, we're going to invade him? No, that'd be stupid. We wouldn't tell them. The Venezuelan Bolivarian Armed Forces create a new cell phone app allowing anyone to report U.S. action. That's what it's really all about. Furthermore, FAA declares airspace over Ceiba, Puerto Rico, a national defense airspace. What? If there was just peace in the area, if there was not planning some kind of a military operation, why would they have a national defense airspace? Amid rumors of a U.S. potential land strike on Venezuela, the FAA has restricted all flights over Ceiba, Puerto Rico, over special security reasons. No pilots are permitted to operate aircraft within the affected airspace. Only Department of Defense aircraft. Well, to me, that's saying we're preparing to attack Venezuela. I looked up where this little red square is. Actually, that's the red square. Now, you might be saying, as I did, well, that's not exactly off the coast of Venezuela. But all it is practice. So the point is, this could be preparing for a ground invasion, or at least to bomb a few places where they know where the drugs are being created and trafficked and all, to stop it. Now, let's tie this to prophecy for just a second. I've got more. So, if we attack Venezuela, then there's other South American nations that could get angry at that. Central American nations. I've told you I've been to Honduras, and I can already tell you most people in Honduras do not like Donald Trump because he is stopping the people that want to go to America. They think that we should have open borders. They think that anybody that wants to go to America ought to be able to go there or any place else they want to go. So they don't like Trump. As a matter of fact, when I was there, before I even got down there, they told me, don't say the word Trump. Don't even talk about it. And if it's brought up, avoid the topic because they don't like Trump down here. Now, let's go on. There's more. Satellite images show the USS Iwo Jima and USS Gravely at striking distance of Venezuela as poll reveals a majority of Latin America supports military intervention against Maduro. Well, I'm not certain of that poll because when I was down there, I can tell you, at least in Honduras, they don't like Trump. I don't think that they're so much against the Americans, but they sure don't like Trump. So the point is, we could be getting into something over our head. Venezuela's Maduro pleads with China and Russia for help as Trump escalates military campaign. So is this what is going to anger the Russians and also the Central American and the South American nations? Could this be what is angering enough people to get them to attack us? Okay, so the reports are, and I brought them to you before, that it was Russia, has been sending military equipment to Venezuela. That could be a big problem. Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro is pleading for help from China and Russia as President Donald Trump escalates his military campaign into the region, and there's still more coming. U.S. military 20th strike on alleged drug boat kills 4 in the Caribbean. This is the latest one. Permanence of the military presence in the region. Once the fort arrives, that's the big aircraft carrier, the mission will encompass nearly a dozen Navy ships as well as 12,000 sailors, that's up from 10,000, and Marines. And the build-up warships is focused on stopping the flow of drugs into the U.S. The aircraft carrier is a big new tool of intimidation. I don't think it's an intimidation. I don't think it's even a warning. I hope we don't get us into another war over some kind of regime change, I think that what they need to do is stop the use of the drugs in America. And then when the use of the drugs is stopped, nobody's buying their drugs anymore. And then it goes away. They have to find another way to make a living. Trump weighs military options in Venezuela. Top U.S. intelligence and military leaders briefed President Donald Trump on Wednesday on updated, here it is, military options targeting drug cartel operations in Venezuela. The options included potential ground operations, presented the plans during a White House discussions. 2 sources said that no decision has been made yet. Well, praise God. Then I went over to my other good friend, Michael Snyder's webpage. Guess what he's talking about? I had already prepared all of this. I thought, well, let's see what Michael's saying. Guess what he's saying? The same thing. The U.S. is on the verge of one of the greatest strategic mistakes in modern history. He says, in recent decades, the U.S. has been involved in a string of disastrous regime change wars. I agree. Instead of learning a lesson, it appears that we're on the verge of starting another regime change war. Without a doubt, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is a really bad guy, and his nation produces vast quantities of illegal drugs that end up in the veins of Americans. But a regime change war in Venezuela would require an enormous commitment of military resources. It would be a huge strategic mistake to commit so much of our military power in South America at a time when fighting between Israel and Iran could break out at any moment, at a time when Russian forces are about to make a major breakthrough in Ukraine, and when the Chinese could make a move on Taiwan if they sense an opportunity to do so. But let me add more. It could be what is causing Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and the 2 other countries to get prepared to attack and destroy America in 1 hour. I think it's a big problem as I look at prophecy. He says the Europeans are telling us, don't do it. Many South American allies are telling us, don't do it. Venezuelans have already reached out to Russia and China for help. If we ignore everybody else and go barreling into Venezuela anyway, the rest of the planet will be very displeased with us. I think he's right. I think it could be a big problem. So, what do we do? If you want to pray for America, then you want to join our Fast Gap prayer team. That's the reason I have this behind me. You can go to Watch Prophecy Club and you can watch videos, lots of them. But if you go to prophecyclub.com, slide to the bottom, you can sign up for Fast Track if you want to pray for me and our family and Prophecy Club. Sign up for Fast Gap, or maybe both of them, but Fast Gap, you're praying for America. And what we do is start our fast every Tuesday evening at midnight, and then we stop at Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock. So every Tuesday evening, I give you the fast and also the prayer we're all going to say, and then we fast. Now, when I say fast, I mean you can still have juice and coffee and stuff like that. Still take your pills. Don't hurt yourself, okay? Because we do this every week. We've been doing it for now over 1,000 weeks if you're fast track. As a matter of fact, we're almost up to 200 weeks with Fast Gap. But anyway, if you want to pray for America, that's the thing to do. Go to and sign up for Fast Gap, because the Bible says in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. Bible says when 2 or more agrees touching any one thing, it shall be given them. The Bible says 1 can put 1,000 to flight, but 2 can put 10,000 to flight. Meaning, when we have the same people doing the same fast, the same prayer, the same day, it multiplies many times out in the Spirit. I can tell you this. When I have asked this Fast Gap or Fast Track team to pray for something, it gets done. It is done. So if you want to be a part of the solution, want to help Prophecy Club, go to Fast Track. Again, prophecyclub.com, slide at the bottom, or Fast Gap if you want to pray for America. Now, here's my promise. I never send product offers. I never ask for donations. This is not about money. This is only if you want to fast and pray, either for Prophecy Club, Fast Track, or for America, Fast Gap. Quit anytime you want to. You can quit. You can unenroll right there. It's really easy to unenroll. But I can tell you that, I don't know, we got about 1,500 people in Fast Track, and got about, last time I checked, about 850 on Fast Gap. So you would be joining some 850 other people, same fast, same prayer, same day. That's really powerful. prophecyclub.com. If you don't want to lose your life's savings, if you have an IRA or a 401k, the thing to do is call 800-200-GOLD. 800-200-GOLD. These folks are Christians, and they specialize in helping people not lose their life savings in the event of a stock market crash and things like that. Look, most of the 401ks, most of the IRAs are in paper, backed by paper, and as Lindsey Williams says, if it's in paper, it's worth the paper it's written on. You can lose it all. 1-800-200-GOLD. 800-200-GOLD. Hey, give them a call. Doesn't hurt, doesn't cost you anything. See if they can give you some good advice. If you want to be on the end of making money, gold and silver is preserving your money. If you want to be on the end of making money, then you might want to call prophecyclubcrypto.com, or actually go to it, or call that number at the bottom right corner. Ask them about crypto if you're in the position where you can make money.